What's up, everybody? This is Daniel's son. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm actually not doing a specific fragrance review today. I'm not doing a review on a specific fragrance, I should say. I do want to talk about fragrances, though. As some of y'all might know, I have had some major issues in my life with like depression and anxiety, fear, anger, PTSD, all that kind of stuff. Especially when I was growing up, I had a lot of depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And instead of talking about a specific fragrance, I wanted to talk about fragrances as therapy. About 2 years ago, when I seriously started collecting, I realized that when I wore specific, some kinds of fragrances, it would actually make me feel better. So I started looking at them as part of my therapy. I have a list of things that I do as far as therapy for myself to help me cope and deal with like depression and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So I've been experimenting with a lot of fragrances as part of my therapy to help me cope with a lot of negative emotions and feelings. And I wanted to actually talk about that, especially now because I know the majority of the world is experiencing fear and anxiety and depression and anger and all these negative emotions because of everything that's happening right now. And I wanted to talk about this to maybe help somebody. Maybe somebody out there can relate to me. Maybe somebody uses fragrances as therapy for themselves, or maybe there's people out there that never even considered fragrances can be used to help you with your emotions, or spiritually, mentally, to help you cope with a lot of things. I think fragrances are a great way to help you cope with a lot of things. But this is just a small portion of all the things that I do as far as my therapy to help me with things. But it's a big part. They actually help me quite a bit, actually. And I actually have a lot of fragrances that help me deal with certain things. And this is just a small portion. I know I have over 50 fragrances that I try to use on a regular basis to help me with depression and stuff like that. And this is just a handful of what I use. I just grabbed some. These are in no particular order. These are not my like top 10 or anything like that. It's just some of the fragrances that I use. One of the accords that every time I wear these two fragrances, it always makes me feel better. And it's like a beach accord. It's like aquatic or blue or anything that smells like suntan oil or anything like that. It reminds me of the beach, and thinking about the beach actually puts me in a better mood. It lifts my spirits. And these two I actually got, and I actually wear a lot, especially when I go to bed at night. It makes me feel better. One is called At the Beach by Bath & Body Works. Smells like old school suntan lotion, which makes me think of the beach, which makes me feel better. And I have another one by Bath & Body Works called Coconut Lime Breeze. Both of these are actually 8 fluid ounces. And if you buy them separate, they're like $14, but if you buy 3 at one time, they're much, much cheaper. But I actually really like to use these because they actually make me feel better. Another fragrance that I wanted to talk about that makes me feel better, that I use as my depression therapy, is a fragrance that was really, really hyped up about a year and a half ago. It's supposed to be a clone of Spice Bomb. It's actually called Blaze by Beverly Hills Polo Club. Believe it or not, this very inexpensive fragrance helps me cope with my depression and anxiety and fear and stuff like that. This is the Eau de Toilette. They do have a body spray, which I'm sure works just as well as this one. But I decided to get the Eau de Toilette. This is supposed to be a clone of Spice Bomb. I can't really say if it is or not. It smells really similar to Spice Bomb, but there's just something about it that just, every time I wear it, it just makes me feel good. So I don't really try to think too hard about why. It just makes me feel good, and that's good enough for me. Another fragrance that I like that makes me feel better is called Derege Pour Homme by Risasi. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of reviews on this from fragrance reviewers, and a lot of them say that this is a great date night fragrance, which I agree, but I don't use it for that reason. It just has a lot of vanilla and tonka bean, and it's got cumin in there for a really nice spice, and it just makes me feel good. So that's the only reason. I've really gotten into floral fragrances the last year, and this particular fragrance is a very floral fragrance. This is I consider this a violet bomb. This is called Carve and Pour Homme. This is a very thick floral, which I used to not like thick, sweet florals. But there's just something about this fragrance. Every time I wear it, it just cheers me up. It just makes me feel good. This is like probably 80% violet and about 10% vetiver in the dry down and some other things mixed in. But this is a lot of violet, and it just makes me feel good. Another fragrance that I wanted to talk about that makes me feel better every time I wear it is called London by Burberry. A lot of people consider this a fragrance that smells like Christmas, and I agree. And I think it's because of the spices and just the blend of this fragrance. And it does. It just reminds me of Christmas. It's got some cinnamon in there, and it's not quite gourmand or anything, but it's starting to head towards gourmand, but not quite there. But it just smells like Christmas somehow, and every time I think about Christmas, it seems to make everything okay. Tobacco fragrances make me feel good. They seem to cheer me up. They, especially like a pipe tobacco fragrance, it's a comforting feeling. And I picked out two of my favorite tobacco fragrances, and one is called Herod by Parfums de Marly. This is on the expensive side. This is actually pretty expensive. I'm not sure what the price is now, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful creamy tobacco. Very nice, very expensive, which I think a lot of people would agree with me, but it's very comforting. And another tobacco fragrance is called Insurrection 2 Wild by Rain Tradition. This is a lot more inexpensive. I think you can pick this up, unless it's been discontinued or something. You could probably pick this up for like $25 for 100 ml. At least I think that's what I paid for it. But this is more of it's a little bit more sweet than Herod, and it's got a little bit more of a cherry pipe tobacco vibe to me. And believe it or not, it took me a while to accept this, but I actually think I like this $25 fragrance better than I do whatever this is now, $250. I think I like the Insurrection 2 Wild better than I do Herod. And that just like, I didn't want to think about that when I started thinking about it. I was like, no, I can't like something like this more than Herod, but it's actually, I mean, it's the truth, you know, and it doesn't matter what a fragrance costs. If I like another fragrance better, it's no big deal. you know. But if you want a good tobacco fragrance, you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money. Pick this up for like $25. I actually like this better. Um, but these are just a handful of fragrances I use for my therapy to make me feel better when I don't feel good mentally or spiritually. Um, so maybe this, I don't know, maybe this will help somebody. Maybe you can like experiment around and start thinking about, you know, if a fragrance makes you feel better than other fragrances, maybe you can do a little bit of experimenting, and maybe use it as therapy just like I do. Um, like I said, this is just a small part of my therapy, but it actually works very well, so it's very important to me. Fragrances are very, very important to me. So if you actually do use fragrances to help you with your mood or depression or whatever, to help you feel more energized, let me know what kind of fragrances you use to make you feel better. I'm really curious about that. Maybe you can make me a little small list of some of the things that you do to help you feel better. And I actually want to put I want to put a link in the description and maybe even in the comment section to my personal Facebook page. And if you have any questions, or if you want to talk about anything, or just want to friend me on Facebook, and if you do want to talk about something, you know, just send me a friend request and I'll accept it. And you can message me, you know, personal message me on Messenger or something like that if you want to talk about anything. But I will leave that link in the description and the comment section, so hit me up if you want to talk about anything. I'm a good listener, and I actually do have I'm a Christian, and I actually do have a Facebook group. We are a prayer group, a Christian prayer group, so maybe if you want to talk about anything, I can help you there too. But anyway, let me know what fragrances you use to make you feel better or more energized or anything like that. I would like to know. I really would. I'm curious about that. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later, and take care of yourself. It's a little bit nuts out there, and I love you guys, and I will be back whenever. All right, love you guys. Bye.